Oftentimes, systems don't fail. It is people who man the system that fail. And so I love the Proverbs of Solomon. He says, any enterprise is built by wise planning. It becomes strong through common sense and profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the fact. I mean, everyone here who is a CEO or a C-suite will understand this proverb is a Jewish proverb by the King Solomon. Any enterprise, whether business or parenting, is built by wise planning. The only problem is that we plan for business. Everybody's got a business plan. Many people don't have a parenting plan. Many people don't have a family life plan. They don't have a marital plan. And so we do things because we overrate what money can buy. And we just assume and conclude that once I have money, I can take care of anything. I tell you that there are things money can't buy. I mean, I sit in therapy and in sessions with a lot of the children of the C-suite across different continents, and I'm shocked that they are thinking that, oh, it's about trade money. But the real fundamental issue is not even a money issue. Maybe there's a child who wants his father. I was working with a child whose father could almost beat his chest that they were close. But by the time we started working with the child's greatest aspiration was to kill his dad because he didn't like the way his father spoke to his mom. So he was already planning on how to get a gun and kill his father. But his father didn't know. His father was a major CEO, but he didn't know that his son was planning to kill him. I had to sit down and do a whole lot of sessions, a whole lot of reconciliation, a whole lot of bringing them together, right? I have seen a lot of children who hated the fact that your work or your business took their father away, took their mother away. So any enterprise is built by wise planning, becomes strong through common sense. If you want to scale, it needs a color of common sense. But it profits wonderfully by keeping abreast of the fact. That keeping abreast of the fact is the bane of the African person. And I've seen it a lot, not just the African, in different cultures of the world. We understand how to build a business, but then to sit down to understand how to parent is a big, big problem. Because many people assume that, I mean, it's just parenting. I know how to raise my child, and so over time, people don't take courses, people don't read books, and then they make a shipwreck of the parenting, and they are surprised that they are struggling, or they are surprised that their children are on drugs. I'm as surprised as they are, because their surprise is a surprise to me. Because when I sit with them, I'm asking, how did you plan for this parenting? How many parenting books did you read? How many courses did you read? And they are looking at me. And I'm asking them, if you get on a plane and then the pilot says to you that he's going to fly the plane by the special grace of God, or he's going to use his military knowledge of being a lieutenant general to fly the plane, but he doesn't have a training as a pilot, are you going to jump on that plane and say you trust the grace of God to take you to your destination? He's going to crash the plane. We shouldn't be surprised that he's crashed the plane. Same way we shouldn't be surprised when marriages fail or when parenting fail. Because if we don't prepare, if we keep abreast of the facts, then the end is literally predictable. So I am not surprised when parents say to me, oh, my child is on drugs, oh, my child is transgendering, I am not surprised. They are surprised, I'm not, because I know that the right things have been skipped. They mean well, they were sincere, but they were sincerely wrong. And so every child is a potential savior. The question is, why is every child not a savior? The answer is in handling. A child is like a seed. The parent is like the handler. When the parents don't understand the quality of the seed, the type of seed it is, how to plant the seed, how to handle the seed, then a lot of things will go wrong because we'll project our fears and project something else on the child and eventually damage the child. So the old rule of building effective family system is emotion. But the new rule is intentional scripting. Lately, I've been called into various forums in the US because the rate at which marriages that move from Africa to the US and to the UK collapse is becoming alarming. And then in the UK, they found out that unreasonable behavior is the number one reason why marriages collapse. Now, in the US, it's very similar. But then I'm explaining. So now we've had to design a new introductory course for people who are just moving in so that they can understand how to morph from the emotions to systems intelligence. Because in Africa, you run a family by emotion. Out here, it's got to be system because everything here is systems driven. So if we don't shift to systems intelligence, right, we may leave some gaps which will show up in the life of a child and we'll be wondering where it came from. There are 4 critical modern day battles every parent now needs to navigate. And as CEOs, you need to be aware. Number 1 is a sense of identity. Number 2 is a sense of history. Number 3 is a sense of village. And number 4 is a sense of mission. In the sense of identity, when I sit with leaders who are having issues with their children and I'm asking them, what is the definition? What is the identity of your family? They don't know. They have a name. They don't have an articulated identity that their children are aware of. Yet, every misbehavior in a child can be traced to a non-discovery of self and a non-remembrance of self. If your child does not know who he is, it's going to mess up. If he forgets who he is, it's going to mess up. Unfortunately, the parents have not articulated the identity of the family, so the child does not even know where it's coming from. And that ties to number 2, which is the sense of history. Every time I have done this session, I was in Houston last week and I was teaching the same session, the answers are predictable. Whenever I ask, how many people in my audience can tell me the name of the great-great-grandfather, the man in the 4th generation, and the exploits the man did on the planet when the man lived? Less than 1%. And so if we don't even know our history, you don't know what has happened in the 5th generation, the 6th generation, and the 4th generation. Meanwhile, neuroscience says that fear can travel from the 1st generation to the 4th generation. That's been scientifically proven. If you don't even know the superpower that exists in your family through history, what then do you pass to the children? No wonder when the children come abroad, they are not planning to go back to Nigeria because they don't have anything that ties them back in there from a sense of history. And even the history is now doctored. As you can see, they are trying to rewrite history of June 12. So what is the history? Once a group or a family does not have a sense of history that is well documented, a generation is going to be lost. Number 3 is the sense of village. Yes, we are CEOs, but then do we have a group of CEOs that we are parenting together? That we all have an understanding of what it takes to parent in this age and time? And number 4, do we have a sense of mission? Why did your family come together? What is the purpose of your family? Why are you here? When these 4 areas are not effectively, we don't navigate them intentionally, parenting becomes very tough. So the destiny of the next generation is defined by your parenting system, not the word system, not your emotion, and the environment you have created. So yes, we live in an ambience-driven environment. Nigerians know how to create, the best aesthetics. When it comes to interior decor, we know all those things, right? And so many of us are in the real estate sector. You know how to build beautiful, teach about that. But do you know how to build a beautiful home? Do you know how to build a home that lasts? Do you know how to build a parenting system that keeps your child grounded, that wherever he goes, your child can stand his ground? So who is a parent? Is a parent someone that can splash money, someone that can shout, someone that can scream? Is a parent a sperm donor? Is a parent someone that can teach the word of God? Is it someone that can yell, or someone that can donate semen, or someone that can conceive and carry a baby to full term? No, a parent, the word parenting is the word bring forth. A parent is the ultimate, is a skilled system owner. Again, not the word skilled system in there, that is able to spot the identity of the arrow in the quiver. So your child is the arrow, you are the quiver, which is your family, and intentionally groom. So you groom based on the discovery of your child and shoot, which is placement, in the direction of a predetermined target in a way that it consistently solved the problem was designed to solve in service to God and humanity. So it means parenting is a threefold assignment. You must discover your child, develop your child, and deploy your child. Deployment of a child, that's not a problem because many of you already have good networks. But what type of child are you deploying? Is it a child that you have properly, adequately developed in his own area of expertise, or the child that you have mortgaged his competence because you need him to carry on the family business or something like that? So do we discover the child? Have you discovered the child? Have you intentionally developed the child in the area of his strength, and are you willing to deploy the child? Fortunately, we're dealing with a generation called Generation Z and Generation Alpha. Now, every child born from 2025 is Generation Beta. They have their own nuances, which we have not even started to unpack. But you see, there are a couple of things you need to understand about Generation Z and Alpha, right? Because they're totally different from you. And so your mannerism or your strategy for parenting cannot be the way you were raised, right? Because for them, you don't know what life did for you by making you use cassettes, and you learn patience when your cassette got stuck in the cassette player, the patience it takes to bring it out. I mean, life taught you that naturally. They don't have that luxury because they have Alexa. They are talking to AI. AI is talking back to them. They have intelligent AI, and so the kind of leadership and parenting they want is totally different from what it has ever been. They want empowering. They want collaborators. They want inspiring. So you can see their slangs are different from us. Their iconic cars are different. Their toys are different. Their music devices, and the leadership style is totally different. Now, this generation, there are 4 things that define them, and those 4 things you need to know. 1, their identity is not defined in their quest for truth. They are very open-minded, and they love to express individual truth. That's why you call them Sorosoke in Nigeria. They don't, our parents will teach us, think before you talk. They will talk before they think. So you need to manage perspective through the power of questioning, right? You want to use the questioning to take them back to what is acceptable. Number 2, they are radically inclusive and connecting to different truths. They understand everyone's style. That's why they won't fall for, I'm a Muslim, you are a Christian, I am Pentecostal, you're Orthodox, I am this, you are that. They are digital natives. But then you need to plug them into intentional tribal ideology, or else, without a conservative standard, they will fall by the wayside and they will take in everything the world is offering them. Number 3, they want fewer confrontations and more dialogue. So you must get comfortable to engage in them and hearing their thoughts. Change must come from dialogue. You can't slap your truth and wish other people's truth away. Then they are realistically pragmatic, looking for truth behind all things. They can't give to stuff that can't be proven. So as you're talking to them and you are thinking you are speaking truth, they're checking you out online. So you need to show clear-cut results and enjoy their quest for research and ability to question all things. Now, having said all of this generation, they are in search of who they truly are in the midst of all sorts of contradictory information, easily accessible online. That's why they look like they are misbehaving, because they are bombarded with all sorts online, from TikTok to Facebook. They're hardly even on Facebook, to Instagram, to being content creators and what have you. So there is a calculated attempt to mess up their identity. That's the battle line. Their identity is in question. So to make them look like, if you don't do BBL, something is wrong with you, because men want ladies with big back, right? If you don't dress this way, if you don't open your breast, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, they are bombarded with that. And so empathy is what they need from us. But then in our being empathetic, you need to build a system that subliminally raise them without them even knowing that they're being influenced. And so what do you need to do? 5 things you need to do to build an effective parenting system. Number 1, you need to do what we call a personal heritage audit. Now, I don't have the luxury of time because, of course, this is not a long meeting. We don't intend to keep it a long meeting, right? But you see, I work with C-suites regularly in groups, and I sit with them, this one, to help them demystify their personal heritage audit. It's a lot of work. It looks very easy, but it's not. Because every family has got a blessing attached to their heritage. There are families, they are pioneers. There are families, they are connectors. There are families, they are managers. There are some, they are marketers. There are family, when you mention their Nicolacos, activism is what they've been given. So you need to find yours, because the same power exists in your children and they need to be aware. Or else the society will make them lose their esteem, and then they'll be looking for themselves. And if care is not taken, they'll get into drugs. The rate of drug use in Lagos and other parts is alarming. And I don't know if you are aware that HIV prevalence has gone to another level right now, beyond what has been seen before. And that's the presence of the LGBT community in Nigeria. right? And so there are guys who are swinging on both sides. They sleep with men, they sleep with women, sleep with men. And so they are the ones spreading this thing, and a lot of parents are not aware. And so you need to discover the blessing attached to your heritage. Then you need to have a parenting alignment charter. Husband and wife, what, like your business plan? Where's your parenting plan? It must be predetermined. You need to sit down and articulate it and draw a roadmap into the future. Because parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What happens from age 19 is your report card. Then what virus exists that must never be passed on? Everybody also has got a virus. We call it self-sabotaging pattern. Is your virus shouting, anger? There is something that you can see that you're likely going to pass to your children if care is not taken. And then you need to go through a proper healing session. I mean, there's an entire session where people heal from their childhood trauma. Number 2 is child discovery and road mapping matrix, right? We say train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. So what that means is you need to observe your child and create a perceptual code. Every child in this family is dash. What is that dash? Are they diplomats? Are they world changers? Are they royalties? Are they celebrities? What are they? Are they influencers? Are they exceptional leaders? You need to create a perceptual code. The perceptual code is a descriptive word that governs how you engage your child, how you discipline your child, how you respond to your child, and how you handle the discomfort in your child. Understanding this alone will totally eliminate yelling and screaming and shouting and anger and the tantrums that we sometimes exhibit because things don't go our way. Then you need to create your child user's manual elicitation, which we can't do here. That takes us an entire session. But this is compulsory because that helps how the house helps work with your children, how the teachers work with your children, because they can damage your children without you knowing. While you are busy, you have left the child with the nanny, but then you have not given the nanny the blueprint of raising your child. So the nanny is doing whatever comes to her. So it's usually a village knowledge to raise your child for you. By the time the nanny leaves your child is never the same. A lot of children have been raped in that wise. A lot of children, deadly things have happened to them and their parents are not aware. When they now begin to manifest in the adulthood, parents are wondering, where did this come from? No, while the enemy slept, while you slept, the enemy came and sowed tears. Then sexuality education. Number 3, because many of us pay to do a lot of research, how much do you pay to research on your parenting? How much do you pay to sit and learn about parenting? You need to get comfortable with researching, embracing and replicating a template that works. See, many times when the child is already in trouble and parents come to pay me to resolve the issue, what they pay me doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm very honest because sometimes it runs to $10,000s, right? They are willing to pay anything. But then what they would have spent to prevent the problem was minimal. It would have been maybe less than $1,000, right? But then they don't have the time to sit down. But then they are willing to throw money at the problem. So you need to research and embrace a template that works. There is no arrogance about these things. It's about humbling ourselves to say, you know what? I don't think I have adequate knowledge in this area. Can I defer to what has been researched? So looking at what has worked. How did it work? Why did it work? How can we replicate it? There is no shame in copying what has worked. And so that's number 3. And that is number 4. You want to create a new village ideology. This one is the foundation of family systems. And this is why people have been able to pass wealth to the 3rd and 5th generation, because they intentionally build the system. An average African family does not have this system. It's one of the new things we must begin to articulate. We must begin to intentionally build it, right? Some of us have it already. I mean, because I was doing a research, I think the Alawa Kabashon or something. The man made an estate that provided for his children's children, right? And he built a system around it, which is fantastic. But then, did he also on the behavioral code that is expected of his family members or something like that, right? And so the number 1 is family governance system. That's the system that governs your family vision, your family values, your DNA creed, your family legends, right? And then the culture of your family. Without clearly articulating this system, a child is at risk. In fact, everybody is at risk. The generation unborn are at risk. So that's where you need to start from. And this one is not something we can do here. You will need to do it. Because the future of Africa is interesting, but we need to build a system to deliver that future. So what gaps exist? Because that system will now show you the gaps that exist in your family. And then who must you become to deliver that end? Everybody knows the kind of child they want, but they don't know who they need to become. It might require you to stop shouting. It might require you to, think in a particular way, change in a particular way, attend certain meetings that you would have missed, right? Because let me say this carefully. A lot of us, we abdicate our responsibilities to mothers, and we allow the mothers go for midterm, go for this, go for visiting day. We never show up. I can guarantee that there's a gap between you and your children already. That when they grow older, they already have a plan to move their mother away, and you're likely going to be lonely as a man. So you need to learn to show up. Who must we become? What new culture must we create? That includes domestic educational system. You need to build systems in your family. This one, it's a major course that we all need to understand and master. And number 5, sin identification and casting. You need to know your role and collaborate with your children to win. So if you have a child that's less than age 3, your role is a scout. You shouldn't shout and be beating that child. You should observe and interpret. From ages 4 to 6, you are model. You model what you want that child to do. The child will follow what it sees you do, including shouting. How you talk to your wife or how you talk to your husband is how the child will talk to his siblings, right? So you model. Number 3, you become an instructor from ages 7 to 9. That's where you create a family educational system with a curriculum that you teach on all that your child needs to master for him to become a proper member or citizen of your family that can deliver an outcome, right? From ages 10 to 12, you become a friend. You want to get into their world and know what they know and hear them out and listen to them. There's a whole lot they have to teach you because that's the age where a lot of parents lose their children to peer pressure. So you want to be there as a friend because from age 13 to 18, you're a coach. A coach balanced perspective because from age 18, your child is no longer obliged to listen to you. But if you have done a good job, your child will listen to you because from age 19, you're a cheerleader and an advisor. Parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What happens from age 19 is your report card. In closing, raising a godly children is not just a prayer battle alone or individual parents. It is now a battle of systems, intelligence, and tribal ideology in which the stronger and the most desirable will win. So it's about systems. And that system, every family must become a tribe. That's the future of family. So you need to smell the coffee right now. As a CEO, you're doing well, you're making money, you are doing deals. But do you have the systems in place? I mean, you see, it doesn't take so long for money to fly away. We've seen the richest people in the world. We've seen the richest men in Nigeria die, and their estate, everything collapsed. Children fighting themselves. We've seen it happen. And so this thing is telling us that money is not enough. You need to build intentional system because you don't know when you're going to die, right? And so if you don't build your children intentionally, they can be rude to their siblings, they can be rude to their uncles, they can be rude to anybody because we have not properly taught them or raised or groomed them to become who we need them to be so that they can pass it to the next generation. So we need to move from child education to scripting a tribe of saviors as Africans. And scripting works with system. System is basically 1 + 1 is equal to 2. If you hand over a child to terrorists, the child can never become a man of God. The child will still become a terrorist. So what is the parenting system that the terrorists deploy for a child to emerge as a terrorist? They radicalize the child. So if evil can be radicalized, good must be able to be radicalized if we are intentional and if we know how. So I would say that it takes a village to raise a child. The question is, where's your village? Who makes up your village? What is the capacity of your village? And what is the report card of your village? If the report card of your village is not looking good, forget it. A lot of parents celebrate graduation, but they're also celebrating the graduation of a drug addict, of a sex addict. They are celebrating the graduation of someone who can't become responsible in marriage or build an effective family, right? Who, if you hand over well to him, is just going to flanger, and then before you know it, the money is over because he does not have the discipline to sustain whatever you're building. So we need to first submit ourselves to what works, figure out what works, create time once a week to at least attend a class, maybe for 2 hours, and master what you need to prioritize materials. I mean, I have some materials in that meeting venue that you want to get. I have a new book out that I strongly recommend, Unbroken. It's a book on systems. I mean, you won't get any other book like that before. Go and ask. People have read it across different parts of the world, say it. I mean, they say it's almost like a textbook. It will teach you how to build family systems, right? And then there is another book there, Out of the Box Parenting, which is a template on raising a child in a contemporary world, right? And so you need to belong to a village that can help you, provide support for you, and help your family build the adequate stuff that you need. The question is, can God depend on your family to salvage our world? The world is now full of bullies. We've seen the rise of bullies as presidents, as all kinds of leaders across the globe. But the world is in need of a compassionate generation, leadership that are kind, people who respect other people, right? But it's not going to produce itself. It's going to show up from some people's family. Can God depend on your family to salvage our world? I hope this has been very useful, but let me invite you. We have a class that is starting March 22nd. I will strongly recommend this because it's not just a class, it's a community. You join our community and we take you through the 12 steps, 12 most important systems you need to build for your family across 12 weeks, one class per week. But after the class, we also support you around the year. If you have any question, we have the silver group and the gold group. The silver is 200,000 with the silver group. I mean, everybody should be able to afford that. The gold group, which has some other perks, like you have coaches attached to you, that's $500,000. You can sign up familyhouseafrica.com/VIP parents. It's an entire community that you belong to round the year. You don't want to miss that. And so I welcome you and I invite you to join that family. And I want to appreciate Dayton for inviting me. I hope this few minutes have challenged you on the need to build system. Africans must build system. That is the next wave across the globe, right? And that's what we need to do. I pray that you will succeed, and I pray that your children will turn out right. They will not bring you shame. I pray that you will be proud of them and you'll be proud of what you've done, because you are not just going to take decision for your children, you are taking decision for generation unborn. So I look forward to seeing you in class. Thank you very much. God bless you. I don't know if there's any question. I'll take it before I leave.
Yes, please. Am I being heard?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you very much. I'm sorry I came in late. I joined this late, so I really didn't get your name. Well, what you have said, whether we like it, I'm Dr. Adewale Adeoye. Whether we like it or not, some kids have brought shame to the family. We know families that are crying because I'm a counselor. So I know the degree or an amount of counseling that I give out to parents. Some parents are really weeping, they are crying. Now, if you say, I think I heard you say something like, you can't expect a child from a faulty background, maybe a background that is laced with drugs, terrorism, banditry, and what have you, okay, to be a man of God, so to speak. My question is, what should we do going forward? When we consider building systems in Africa, what should we do for such kids, for such parents, who have got it all wrong? It's really a shame, if one is just going to start listening to you and such nice talks as this, yes, there could be hope. But for those who have missed getting it right from the word go, what should be done going forward? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Adeoye. I really appreciate your question. The first thing is they need to take responsibilities. The interesting thing is, I've had to work on family reconciliation and family therapy for a number of families who have similar issues in Nigeria, right? And the first thing that we have to say is that, for example, when a child is already a cocaine addict, right? That's already devastating because he's going to be needing money for the next fix, and then we'll sell off all. I mean, I know a child that sold his father's properties and whatever, right? And so when you have that situation, the first thing is for the child to recover, the child will need the parent. And then the parents need to first admit that, we dropped the ball at some point. Now, if they admit that they dropped the ball, the next thing we do is to now create intervention for them. Now, part of the intervention will require them to at least engage the child to say, what will be your rating of us, right? And obviously the child will tell them, oh, you didn't do this right, you didn't do this right. They shouldn't argue. Take responsibility. What you're doing there is that you're striking a report, right? And then you're asking, what do you think I need to do to be a better parent going forward? I hope it's not too late. I hope we can still come back into your life and provide support, right? And so once that is done, you have established rapport in a way that the child knows that you mean well, and you're not going to, stand aside, because this is why a lot of people stand aside. How can a pastor's child be on drugs? The child is your child, regardless of whatever the child is going through, the pain. You need to understand that what we call bad behavior or misbehavior, addiction, is a trauma response for many of these children. That was the escape they found when they were traumatized and they didn't know what to do. And so you need to be willing to work with a professional, to help you understand and create a roadmap. And let me say this, it's not the microwave. I know Africans, we love miracles. We love to run and pray on prayer altars. But you see, behavioral problems, someone behaved himself into a situation, he needs to behave himself out. And so once we found out that clients with a supporting family recover faster, and so because we prepare them to know what to expect. So once it begins to manifest the things you don't like, ignore it. What you need to focus on is the end game. And when you surround with a lot of love, people will respond faster in the presence of love. And so what I'm going to say, if there's any parent in that category, you want to maybe find someone that you're comfortable you can work with, who is a professional and skilled in strategy, not just therapy alone. Strategy must be included. And then you want to go back to your child and maybe apologize to say, you know what, we could have done better. We did the best we could with what we knew. If we knew better, we could have acted better. But that was all we knew as at the time. But now we're getting new knowledge and we would like to make it right. All right. If you start from there, it's like stooping to conquer. And that's what a lot of people need to do. Many of our clients whose children eventually successfully recovered, that was the pathway we told. If it's an addiction issue, then there's I think it's about 9-step process that we follow with them, because we need to provide a lot of support and what have you. But awareness is what a lot of Africans, especially now that we're having a lot more children, and there's a rise of the baby motherhood or single parenting across Africa, which is scary. America is yet to recover from that because they're dealing with it. Africa is taking that thing right now, and so we are going to have a lot of children who don't have father figures over their lives. And when they don't have father figures, there's going to be an imbalance somewhere. And at the end of the day, that imbalance will show up across. So we need a lot of sensitization. We need to begin to teach and begin to tell people. That's why right now we're creating communities across Nigeria first, then a few African countries where people can come together in clusters and learn parenting as a group, apply every week, build systems every week, check on themselves, create a peer pressure, and ensure that they get it right. Because once we get it right, what we produce from our families will naturally go to the society. And if we can it's garbage in, garbage out. If we get it right from the family, we'll get society right and we can transform society ultimately.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Fowowe. I agree with you and I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. My question is, how should parents help their children navigate the impacts of technology, especially AI, in their children's development? Because we've had so many children committed suicide interacting with AI technology. So how should parents help their children navigate the impact? So
okay,
that's my question.
Thank you very much, sir. That talks about screen and gadget management. Now, the first thing we say is that if you give your child a phone, internet enabled, and then you now don't prepare the child for life on the internet, the best way to describe it is to go and give your child the key to your car. Give a 12-year-old the key to the car and don't train him how to drive. Then go and hire all the prayer warriors in the world and begin to pray. May accident not happen. You can bet accident will happen. Now, a lot of us have introduced our children to screen too early, right? And it's because we don't want them to suffer what we suffer. Then we've gone to another extreme. You can't get a phone in my house until you are 13. And then that phone is not your phone. It's our phone that we extended to you. And there are rules that govern that phone. For example, once it's 9 p.m., you have to drop your phone. If you don't drop your phone at 9 and you take the phone to your room, you are likely going to be talking to your friends and not sleep. Sleep is critical to the well-being of a child, to the mental health of a child. I know that. So if you are not comfortable with our rules, then you might as well wait till you walk so that you can get your phone. Now, before you get a phone, we need to put you through it. In fact, now, sometimes even now that they still use a phone, if we notice that you are going above the stated hours, we withdraw your phone. Because, you see, one of the things that this phone has done to us is that social interaction has been hampered. So you have a lot of children growing up without social skills. And if they don't have social skills, how do they build relationships? Little wonder there is a high upsurge of depression. So if you have not properly groomed your child to become resilient, how do you give them access, unrestricted access to the internet? They're going to watch porn. AI is going to be giving them instruction because there are some new generations of AI right now that can have, they call them assistants, that can have interaction and can give you instruction. We have seen this AI destroy homes. We have seen this AI, instruct children to go commit suicide, and they went to commit suicide. The question is, how did the child begin to interact with that AI? Now, gadgets is for assignment, right? And so if it's for assignment at school, when they're done with the assignment, you need to create all sorts of other activities. But beyond that, you need internet safety education. It exists. There's a body of knowledge for that. Train your children. Prepare them for life, what the AI is capable of doing. Let them know ahead of time. And from time to time, have interaction with them. But much more than that, at what age? What does your family policy say? I talked about family government system. That's where the policies are made. What does your family policy say about phone? When my daughter was 9, she was telling me, oh, Daddy, but there are 9-year-olds in my class. They have a phone. I said, what is their name? Mention their name. Oh, Jamie Redknapp. Okay. Is your name Imole Redknapp? Do we need to change your name to Imole? She got the message, right? You need to put your foot down on certain things, right? You know your child. You know when your child is not ready to drive a car. So you prepare your child while you're waiting to hand over a car key to him. It's the same thing with life online. You need to be intentional about it. The interesting thing? Madonna won an award, and then when she went to win the award, the interview panel asked her, oh, your children must be proud of you. I'm sure they are watching right now. Madonna said, no, they are not looking at this program. They asked her why. She said, because they don't watch television. And they asked Madonna, but you are a song star on media. How come your children don't watch television? He said, because television is the most toxic product ever made. And he said, I preserve the soul of my children for it not to be contaminated by the toxicity on. Meanwhile, Madonna is singing rubbish songs, but she's preserving her own child. The same thing, Snoop Dogg went to shoot a commercial that was adult content. Usually he takes his son along. That day he didn't take his son. They asked him, why didn't you take your son? He said, because we're shooting adult content. But they said the consumers are going to be your child's age mate. He said, well, their parents should take responsibility for them because my own child, I am responsible for my child. Can we grow some balls as parents and put our foot down? But you see, all these things are impossible if you have not even done the fundamentals, which is your family vision. What is your family vision? Do you have one? All of us have organizational vision. What's your family vision? What are your family values? Right? How do you ensure that everyone in your family is an ambassador of the family values? So live on the internet, what you do, those are symptoms. If the fundamentals are done, we won't bother about the symptoms. I hope I answered that question.
Yes, it's really an honor for us to have you with us. I don't want to keep you longer than necessary.
Yes, I need to
So
sleep.
make sure I share the event of the 28th of March to everybody in attendance so that they can learn on their own.
Okay.
We're very grateful. I'm not taking our relationship for granted. I'm very appreciative.
Thank you, my sister.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Fowowe. Nice listening to you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.